How's everybody doing tonight? We all good? You withstood that storm, that torrential storm we had on the way out here?
Anything to see you.
I appreciate it. You were the first one here, weren't you, Brian? So, hey, thanks for everybody for coming out tonight. I know sometimes with the weather, the traffic, it could be a hassle, so I appreciate you being here. I want to say thanks to our sponsors tonight, Mark from Mikasa Title. You guys know him. I don't know if you want to say anything. It's up to you. Mark, we did a lot of title work with Mark. And where's Jen? Jen over here. She's our lender. She sponsored us from Direct Mortgage Loans, and she sponsors a lot of these events. So, Jen, you want to say anything?
Thank you for having me.
Okay. You sure?
I love hearing you talk. I would like you talk.
Okay. All right. And I got another special thank you tonight, and she's going to hate me later, but I got to embarrass her a little bit. And you've heard me tell some stories about the family, right? Over the years. Do you remember the one the one story we talked about, like taking your shots? You remember that? Well, that whole presentation was wrapped around one person, and she's sitting right back there. Amanda, could you just stand up for us really quickly? So everybody, give Amanda a hand. They're gonna leave early. That's why we're starting. I was going to start this presentation a little early tonight because they got to leave, but they surprised me and showed up tonight. And one of the real reasons, one of the props I'm going to show you in a little bit, because I was going home to get a prop, and I hit traffic, and I couldn't get there. And so I guess they had an idea, let's go surprise Dad. So, but I will say my family is a lot of inspiration for me for a lot of the presentations I do and the things I think about. And so I really appreciate you guys coming. So I'll give you a big hug later. Now, I know you got to go to about, 7:15? So I'll watch the time for you. So lots happened over the last, is that music or is that just the noise out there? Okay. So lots happened over the last 3 months since we've been together, right? And so real quick for me, I got to go to the land of Oz. I got to go see the Wizard of Oz. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. You've heard me talk about this book I've been trying to write for umpteen years, right? It's been 12 years, 13 years since I initially wrote the goal. Well, I actually wrote my last sentence of that book, I think it was like June 23rd, right? So I was like, wow, and thank you. And it was pretty, I wrote the last sentence and I'm like, wow, I did this, and it was like, I was numb to it because I'm sitting there thinking, 12 years ago I sat out on for this goal, right? And for whatever reason, I started it, I stopped, I started, I stopped. And part of what we're going to talk about tonight, where I found in The Wizard of Oz, is sometimes you don't think you're maybe good enough to do something, or what authority do I have to be an author, Those questions, those doubts, they creep into your mind from time to time. And like I would write and I get on a roll and I'm like, nah, this isn't good enough. I'm just going to put it to the side right now. Or, I'd be sitting there thinking, people just aren't going to get this, and I would put it down. So these doubts, they just kept creeping up. And then I told you how I got called out by my buddies about, Rob, it's time to either do this or get off the pot, And so I really committed to it January 1st. And from January 1st through June 23rd, it was up almost every morning at 4 a.m. By 4:30, I was writing for anywhere from a half hour, 45 minutes, and I knocked it out. So now the next hard part is like editing and publishing, and I don't know what that looks like yet. I'm talking to a guy right now about it, and the hope is to have it. Well, no, it will be. You will see either a hardback or paperback cover within the next 3 to 4 months. You will see that, So I'm excited to share that. And then the other thing I want to share with you is a little bit about abundance. Where does abundance lie within us, right? Part of the book, one of the chapters I wrote about was abundance, and there's actually 16 chapters in the book. And what I've noticed over time is that each time I was writing about a specific chapter, I started reflecting on that topic or that theme, whether it was transparency, humility, abundance, acceptance, momentum. We talked about momentum last time here, right? So whatever I was writing about, I started thinking, and we talked about maybe years ago, months ago, I brought up this acronym. It's called the RAS, the RAS, the Reticular Activating System. And part of my subconscious plan for all of you guys is to get your reticular activating system going when you see a real estate sign or when you hear somebody talk about real estate, you're thinking about the Commodari Group. So if you see a sign for Keller Williams or Long & Foster or RE/MAX, if it's a real estate sign, my idea is I want you to think about the Commodari Group. Or if you're, who's been pregnant recently or knows somebody that's been pregnant, right? Any women been pregnant here or know anybody that's pregnant, right? Typically what happens is you get a woman, she's pregnant, right? What happens? She starts walking around and all she sees is pregnant people. That's the reticular activating system. Or like my son, he wants to buy a Jeep, right? And now he's got me on his kick looking for Jeeps. Everywhere I go now, I see a Jeep. And they've always been there, but I see them more because that's what's at the forefront of my mind. So as I'm writing these chapters in the book, it's, each one, it was a reflection. It was a reflection of time, And so most recently, one of the last chapters I wrote was about abundance. And so I'm going to tie these three things in together: the Land of Oz, the book thing, and a little bit of abundance, right? So I went to, it was we met, I think it was May 2nd or 3rd, right? And about a week later, I went out to San Diego for the event. And the theme of the event was wrapped around the Wizard of Oz. I had one of the homework assignments or preparation assignments for the event was to watch the Wizard of Oz. Who's watched the Wizard of Oz recently? Anybody? Who's ever watched the Wizard of Oz? Who hasn't? Right? So I watched it a week before we left to go to the event, and I'm like, oh my God, it's been about 30, 35, 40 years since I've watched this, and I didn't remember how everything transpired, right? Now, we all know that there's four really main characters, or you could say five. It's Dorothy, the Tin Man, the Lion, and the Scarecrow, right? And of course Oz, right? Well, Toto, if you feel that's important, we can make that important, And Devin, man, if you guys got to leave, and you can just go right out that back door when you got to go. So anyway, so it was about that, right? And what was the Scarecrow's issue? He was looking for a brain, right? What was the Tin Man's issue? Heart. And what about the Lion? Courage, right? And where were they going to get that? The Land of Oz, right? But did they really need to go there? Did they need to go there? No, because why? Because we all have it within, right? So let me take that transference of that information and take it to abundance, right? So do we ever feel like we lack something? Have you ever felt that way, right? When you lack something, what's the opposite of lack? Abundance, right? So if you felt like you lack something, do you start focusing on what you don't have, or do you focus on what you do have? What happens? When you start feeling and sensing lack, you're focusing on what you don't have, right? So the idea is when you start to feel yourself in a lack mindset or a scarcity mindset, think the complete opposite. Just think the complete opposite. Like, what do I have to be grateful for? So maybe you're looking to be a millionaire, and maybe you just got $1,000 in a bank account, right? Be thankful for the $1,000 you have, not for the 999,000 you don't have, right? So it's like flip the mindset and be grateful for what you have, and then things start to change. So what was happening is, I write this chapter about abundance, right? And everywhere I was going, I was like, wow. And you're driving down the road, right? How many times you drive down a road and you see a field of corn stalks, right? How many ears of corn are out there, right? Thousands. And how many kernels are on each ear of corn? Do you know that number? I do. Typically, it's about 800 kernels on an ear of corn. Google it. Anyway, so right? And then they say maybe it's like 1.5 out of every 2 kernels might produce another stalk, right? So you take all that and you plant another set of it and you get more corn, and then you get more corn, right? So I started thinking about my garden, right? And I've talked to you about my garden. I got that green thumb, and I love going out and looking at my garden all the time, because what happens sometimes, I get home from work and I run right to the garden. I get a look from my wife. She's like, what about me, right? She's like, you love that garden more than me sometimes. And Deb, I love you too, honey, So anyway, but I go out there and I think and I reflect, right? So one day I picked a sweet banana pepper. Everybody know what a sweet banana pepper is? This is my prop for the night, right? We know what a pepper. This is from my garden. Look at that thing. Beautiful, right? Beautiful, right? So what happened? I cut one open, and everybody see what that is right there? I know it's pretty. If you got bad eyes like me, you probably can't see it. There's a bunch of seeds there, right? This is one pepper from a seedling that I planted that generated about, I guess, 20 or 30 peppers at the time in my first batch. And then you pick them, and what happens? More peppers come out. So one pepper seed produced a plant that's generated about 50 peppers, right? And each pepper has at least 100, some of them maybe a couple hundred seeds in it, right? So I'm like, wow, I could grow maybe 100 pepper plants there that might produce 50 more peppers that I could pull another couple hundred seeds from. They could produce another couple hundred plants. They could produce another thousands of peppers, right? So what's that a sign? It's abundance. It's abundance. One seedling can produce thousands of peppers, thousands of them. So the question I want to ask you tonight, right? This is a seedling for a vegetable, right? What seeds are you planting in your life? Are you planting seeds in your own garden, right? Are you planting seeds in the relationships that you have? Are you planting seeds in your own mind for your own personal accomplishments that you want to achieve? You know, where are you planting your seeds? And if you have a choice, where you can plant these seeds. You can plant it in fertile soil, right? This came from, I got about 20-inch deep box. It's about 14 inches of dirt, and I till it, and I put eggshells in it, I put compost in it. The looser the soil, the more you add the compost to it, the more fertile it gets. And I get peppers like this. This is great, right? So you can either plant it in fertile soil, maybe rocky soil, right? You can plant it in sand, try to put it in concrete. Depending on where you plant your seeds is going to determine the success of the fruit that comes from that relationship, from that business, from your personal achievements that you want to accomplish, right? So where are you planting your seeds? You know? So, and what are you doing to prep the soil that you're planting the seeds in? What are you doing? You know? Do you just go meeting somebody and say, here's my card, I'll see you later, and then you hope to see them the next event? Is that really planting a seed, or did you plant a seed in some rough soil there? Or do you go meet somebody tonight, you talk to them a little bit, right? You plant a seed, and then maybe you call them between tonight and the next time you see them, next time at this event, say. And you go out and you have lunch, you go get a drink, you go get a coffee, and you're tilling that soil, right? You're deepening that relationship, right? And the more we do that, the more fruit we're going to produce, right? So, you know, where are you planting your seeds? You know, I was at church 2 weeks ago, right? And he talked about that. The homily was about where you plant your seeds. So I got to thinking, hey, again, I went out to my garden. I'm like, where am I planting my seeds? What am I doing with my family at home? Am I planting seeds with them? Am I out working 50 hours, 100 hours a week and not giving them any time? You know, where am I planting my seeds with my resources, the people I do business with? Where am I planting my seeds with my clients, you know? See you guys. Everybody say bye to my wife and my daughter. She's going to play soccer tonight, so she's going to take her shot. Anyway, so think about what you do every day. You have seeds. We have seeds within ourselves, within our souls. We have seeds within ourselves, right? Is it courage? Is it the heart that we're looking for? We all have heart, but are you cultivating it? Are you nourishing it? You know, are you marinating it? You know, what are you doing to the seed that's planted within your soul, right? To become the person you're supposed to become. And when we do that, what abundance can we produce for everybody else, right? It's so, I mean, I know sometimes I get deep with this stuff, but that's just where my mind goes, just over a little vegetable garden, right? But so think about where you planting your seeds every single day, you know? And then just let whatever's supposed to come of it, come of it. Because sometimes we try to control things, you know, and hold on to them too long. Plant that soil, it's really loose, you know, fertilize it, and then let it grow, and let it grow, let it grow. I got eggplant, I'm telling you, I got eggplants that are this big. I'm like, I walk out there, I'm like, that's on steroids, you know? So think about where you plant your seeds, right? Nourish them, cherish them, cultivate them, and let them grow. I like to say, let them grow and let them go, you know? Let it grow. So one of my mantras when I first got in the real estate business that I learned was you send it out in slices. So send these seeds out, send them out in slices, and just let them come back to you in loaves. The more you put out there, the more it's coming back. So when I pick those peppers from the plant the first time, what happens? The plant gets more energy and it generates more peppers, right? So when we invest in our relationships, right, the more energy we put into the relationship, the more we're going to get out of it, right? So all I wanted you to do tonight, just think about the abundance in our lives, the abundance of the things we have, and not worry about the things we don't have. And I'm guilty of it. There's so many times like, oh, I need this and I need that and I don't have that, you know? And it was like 3 days ago, I woke up in the morning, you know, and I was feeling a little like anxious and like woe is me kind of attitude, you know? And I looked, my wife was sleeping in bed and my kids were sleeping in their bed, and I was getting ready for work. I'm like, gosh, I got so much to be grateful for. I got so much to be thankful for. I got friends, I got family, I got a home to live in, we got food to put on the table, right? Why worry about the stuff I don't have? Just be the best of what we can be where we are in the moment and let the rest happen. But you got to invest in it. You got to till the soil. You got to cultivate. You got to nurture it. And you got to prune the branches, right, to give it more energy. Thank you for coming out tonight, everyone. Love you guys being here. Always be willing to bring somebody else with you. Jen, thank you. Mark, thank you for your sponsorships. And you guys, if keep on mingling, man. I got plenty of cannolis here, man. They've been playing for about 40 people. I'm sure the weather held up some people, so take them home, man. Let's go eat. All right. Thank you so much, guys. If somebody wants this pepper, you can have it.